Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are taking a look at a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure. I just recently purchased a few different Beasts of the Mesozoic Raptor figures, as I'm really excited for the upcoming Ceratopsian series. So I went ahead and picked up a few different figures, and these are a little hard to see right now because of the glare coming off of the lights and everything, but you can see this is the Acheroraptor, and as per usual, when we look at the back, we have a beautiful image of the Acheroraptor over here. Really nice artwork, as always, included with these Beasts of the Mesozoic figures, as well as kind of a checklist of a few of the other raptors that are included in the series. So let's get this out of the packaging and take a look at it right now. So here is the base, straight away, a really nice area filled with vegetation and some stones. We, of course, also have the little deals here to stand our raptor up. There's also another little connection piece that's different than this, but we're going to give this one here a shot. And then we also have the Acheroraptor, but he's in pieces currently because we have to attach the tail. So the tail is now connected, and we have our really nice looking Acheroraptor put together. But before we go ahead and throw him on the base or any of that fun stuff, we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at this incredible looking figure right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Acheroraptor, you can see some really nice sculpt and detail included as far as the texturing of the skin in the area of the face where you actually can see some skin before we transition to the feather area, but you can see the nostrils are sculpted out quite nicely, and there's a really nice dry brushing that's been done over top of the raptor. You can see primarily the face is a bluish coloration, but then we have a nice light coloration that's been dry brushed over, bringing that detail out really nicely. You can see the eyes are painted with a white coloration, giving a nice big black pupil. They look really good as far as the kind of coloration of the dinosaur and the way they fit in. I feel like they look really good. You can see how nice looking that sculpt and detail is over here again with that beautiful dry brushing and just the really nice paintwork that they've given the figure. Once we open the mouth, of course, we do have an articulated jaw. We have the teeth in there, and the entire inside of the mouth appears to be sculpted really nicely. For the most part, the paint looks really good. A little sloppiness right there, but nothing too terrible. You can also see the skin flap here on the side of the mouth is sculpted and painted quite nicely. And the tongue is actually a bluish coloration, which is really cool. Kind of fits the theme of the face being blue, but I really love the choice that David Silva made as far as creating the tongue in a bluish coloration. That looks really cool. Definitely a good choice on their part. So the inside of the mouth looks really nice. Beautiful articulation. Again, no real sloppiness or anything for the most part, aside from just that one little area that I saw. But that's just a very minor thing. As we lead back here into the feathered area of the raptor up here on the head, you can see how nicely sculpted out that feather detail is, and it's really nicely painted. Seems to have like a dark brown wash, and then there is a white coloration, and the way it all plays off of each other, it just makes that detail pop to you, but also looks extremely realistic, which is pretty much always the same thing that you get when you get a Beast of the Mesozoic figure. We take a look at some of the articulation. You can see how nice and smooth that articulation is, giving you many options as far as posability goes. And I just love the fact that this is an Acheroraptor, because I don't even know if there's any figures that I could think of this species. And that's one thing that the Beast of the Mesozoic line continuously does, is introduces us to many species that we normally don't get figures of, and this is pretty much another one of those. As we lead down the neck, you can see that that feather detail continues to look really nice, but then it transitions to a brown, but it's not in an instant transition. You can still see some of that white kind of creeping down right there in the back, so I like how that's sort of a gradual change, although, I mean, you can see pretty abrupt, but it doesn't just end and then turns brown. You can see it transition a bit there. And then once we get back here into the brown, you can now see that it's primarily a nice dark brown, but they've given it a really nice dry brushing with kind of a lighter brown in certain areas, like you can really see it here on the legs and then down here on the arms, which brings that detail out of the feathers so beautifully. Really incredible work on the part of Beast of the Mesozoic. As we lead out here into the arm, you can see some of those feathers here of the arms, and they look really good. Again, dry brushed to perfection with that nice brown, and then you can see how it darkens from that lighter brown and then transitions to this darker brown out here on the tips, and the feather detail again is extremely nice. You can see on the underside we actually have a little white stripe that runs through there. You can see the hand also painted with the bluish coloration like we saw up there in the face. Really nicely painted nails as well, and you can see they gloss as we turn it there, so they shine quite realistically. The feather detail looks great in here as well. As we continue to move down the Acheroraptor, look at how really beautiful that feather detail is here in the thigh region. You can see how nicely that kind of jumps out at you due to that really nice dry brushing they've given that there. As we move down into the calf, you can see some more of the really nice feather detail, and I love how there's like big feathers here, like larger feathers, and then it transitions to smaller, finer feathers, and then back to larger feathers. So there's no laziness at all as far as the sculpt of these figures. It's really, really well done. And then you can see the coloration transition back to the white that we see up here in the head and neck area. And then it transitions to the skin area of the raptor, and you can see once again painted with that beautiful blue. Actually, the toes are upside down, but it's painted with that beautiful blue, and again, it's been given like a wash with a darker blue or a nice dry brushing. I'm not too sure which, but it looks really, really good and just generally shows off that really nice skin detail in picture-perfect fashion. You can see the dew claws back here. Everything looks super, super bird-like on the feet of the Acheroraptor. His tail keeps dragging across my backdrop back there, making some weird noises once in a while. But you can see the claws are painted really nicely with a black coloration, and then they appear to have been dry brushed as well to bring some of that detail out, which is an excellent choice on their part. And then as we move back here into the tail, you can see a little bunch of feathers right there, a little gathering of feathers, I guess we could say. And then it transitions to the smaller area, this very long tail, as the tail transitions to a smaller tip. But then we, of course, get the tail feathers, which are really big and poofy, and they look absolutely beautiful. And I love the way that they've painted this again with that nice dry brushing, but then leaving the tip brown, like a darker brown. Even on the underside, you have that lighter brown now that they've dry brushed over, and then the white that runs down the center. It doesn't look overly flashy, but still looks really, really nice, very bird-like. The white continues down here, but actually stops for just a little second for that brown right there, and then transitions back to the white that continues to run along the underside of the Acheroraptor. So as far as the sculpt and detail as well as the paint, this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. You can see that there's not really going to be much difference on this side in comparison to what we had just seen on the previous side, of course, because this is in a totally neutral position, and it is up to you to display your raptor however you would like. We just take a few looks around here at the underside and everything, make sure you guys can see everything as far as this raptor goes, but honestly, it is just jaw-droppingly beautiful here in person, as always, when it comes to these Beasts of the Mesozoic raptors. I would love to be able to collect the entire line, but at this point, I think that's going to be a little tough to do, but this is definitely a great way to get back into buying some of these Beasts of the Mesozoic raptors, and what a fantastic looking figure this is. And then, of course, the base, like I had stated, is just a little area of vegetation. Looks like maybe the Acheroraptor's running through the forest or something. You can see some rocks and stuff here and there, as well as lots of vegetation down here that's been painted with a nice green, and then dry brushed in certain areas with a lighter green. Same deal with the rocks, are painted with a darker gray, and then dry brushed with a lighter gray. It looks very nice, very realistic, and overall is a really nice touch and a nice addition to this set. And then as far as kind of putting the base together, you've got a little ball here that you're going to slide into this spot, and then once that goes in, you're going to, well, if I don't lose it, you're going to connect this right here, and then you could take your Acheroraptor, and we're going to just set him on here, so now we can display him exactly however we would like. I'm not really going to get too snazzy with his current positioning, but there you go, looking absolutely awesome and menacing at the same time. For a length on the Acheroraptor, if we bring it forward a little bit so we can get out here to the tail. Actually, the tail needs to be straightened out just a tad, as it does have the flexibility there in the tail with a wire. So for a length, you are looking at pretty much a foot, pretty much right there on the dot, or about 30 and a half centimeters. And then for a height, for the tail feathers, you are looking at a little under 4 3/4 inches, or about 12 centimeters. And then if we go to the head, and of course this all depends on how you want to display your raptor, exactly how tall it would be, but you're looking at about 4 1/4 inches, or around 10 and a half, maybe 11 centimeters. As far as articulation goes, of course there is a ton with a Beast of the Mesozoic figure, so we do have the articulation in the jaw, and then we have articulation in the neck, which appears to be in numerous different spots. You've got quite a bit of articulation there. You can see all the different joints as we move down. Just tons of articulation in the neck. You also have the shoulder and elbow articulation, as well as wrist articulation right here. And then we come back here, we've got articulation in the midsection right there. We have hip articulation, knee articulation, which is a little stiff as I haven't really moved it yet. And then we have articulation right here. And then in the toe area, we've also got sickle claw articulation right here. Of course, you can take these toes off and replace them with the alternate toes that they do come with. And then you have articulation in the tail right here. And then again right here in this spot, if I could keep it still right there. And then the articulation in the tail is basically on a wire, so you can display your tail however you would like and have it in whatever position you would like. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our 1/6 scale Acheroraptor from Beasts of the Mesozoic. And next to these figures here, you should have a pretty darn good idea of the fact that this is a really nicely sized figure. It's definitely nothing that's small or unimpressive in any way. Definitely a really nicely sized figure, as all of the Beasts of the Mesozoic figures usually are. And hopefully next to these three right here, you should have a good idea of that. And then just for a quick little view here are the alternate toes that you can switch out for the other ones that we saw there on the Acheroraptor, as well as the alternate piece that you can use to kind of sit your Acheroraptor on if it would focus on it. You also have this piece as opposed to the one that I used. So this Beasts of the Mesozoic 1/6 scale Acheroraptor is absolutely fantastic, and I did not expect any less, as every single one of the Beasts of the Mesozoic figures that I have so far have been nothing short of excellence, and that's exactly what I see here with this Acheroraptor. Again, they do such a great job on the paint schemes all the time. Every single time I get a Beast of the Mesozoic figure, I always think how realistic and how natural looking the paint scheme is on the figure, which is one thing David Silva should really be commended for. Not only the amazing work he does in general on the sculpts and everything, but they always go with such great paint jobs, paint schemes that really look very natural. There is absolutely nothing on this figure that I can say doesn't look like it could 100% be the coloration of this animal. So a really nice aspect of the Beast of the Mesozoic figures is that you always get really realistic looking paint schemes, and the actual paint application on this is beautifully done. I think they've done a fantastic job in every way as far as the actual application of the paint, especially in the areas where we actually see skin, like in the face and on the legs and everything. That is so beautifully painted, pretty much to perfection, and I love the fact that they've used a blue, because personally that's not something I would have ever considered that would look really good on the figure, but it 110% does, and was an excellent choice on their part. And again, all the paint application is just really nicely done overall. I love that they've given it beautiful dry brushings to really highlight certain areas, and especially in areas like the toes and everything, just to make sure that you take note of how nicely done the detailing is in the claws and all of that fun stuff. Really nice looking as far as the paint application. The sculpt, of course, is beautiful in every possible way, extremely highly detailed, as each and every one of these raptors has been so far. And being an Acheroraptor, it is amazing that we have a figure of it at all, and I'm so happy that it's a Beast of the Mesozoic figure, because you know you are getting a really nice sculpt when you get a Beast of the Mesozoic figure, and that is exactly what we have here with this really nice looking Acheroraptor. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do just that, so make sure you check the description, go buy yourself this or any of the other Beast of the Mesozoic Raptor figures, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.